At the start of the film, Margaret White, a religious fanatic who is wrong about everything and thinks everything is wrong, especially if it has to do with women, their bodies, or sex. In the first scene, she is writhing in pain on her bloody bed and yelling at God to forgive her. She is so out of touch with reality that she thinks she has cancer and is dying when, in fact, she is in labor. When the pain finally stops, she pulls out a pair of knives and gets ready to kill the baby. But she can't do it. The girl's name turns out to be Carrie. Over the years, Margaret makes Carrie follow her religious views and doesn't let her have any freedom. For most of her life, she has kept herself from having friends, talking to guys, and going to school. When Carrie turns 16, people who fight for children's rights force Margaret to let her go to high school. But Carrie is always made fun of because she doesn't like people and is shy. She never talks to anyone, and when girls show cleavage or couples kiss, she just stares. She doesn't know anything about dating. When the kids at school were playing water volleyball one day, Carrie accidentally hit Sue in the head. Chris, Sue's friend, makes fun of Carrie, which makes everyone laugh. After class, they change in the shower room. Carrie's first period comes while she's in the shower, and she starts to freak out. She has never learned about her period or anything else about how a woman's body works. She thinks she is going to die because blood is running down her legs. She runs around and asks the girls for help in a panic. Chris laughs at Carrie because he knows she doesn't know what menstruation is. Soon, all the other girls join in and start throwing tampons at her as they film her crying. Sue feels bad for Carrie, but she doesn't stop the girls because she doesn't want to be a social outsider like Carrie. Only when Ms. Desjardins, the gym teacher, gets there do they stop. Carrie has a panic attack and continues to scream and cry even after the other girls stop. The teacher slaps her in the face to calm her down. As the girls walk away, Carrie gets angry and looks at the light bulb. As she does, it breaks. When the director hears about what happened, he tells Ms. Desjardins to punish the bullies in whatever way she thinks is best. He also tells Carrie to calm down because they've called her mother, but it makes her even more nervous to think that her mother might find out that she has period. She starts to breathe too fast, and a water cooler in the room suddenly breaks. Later, when Margaret came to get her daughter, she saw Chris and her boyfriend. She doesn't want her daughter to be around people like that, so she prays to God to show the spoiled kids how to live right. Carrie asks Margaret on the way home why she never told her about her period, but Margaret doesn't answer. Before Carrie gets out of the car, a kid from next door calls her a weirdo. He falls off his bike when she looks at him. She has had similar strange things happen to her, and she doesn't know why. Inside the house, Margaret is hitting her head against the wall and apologizing to God for having a girl who will one day sin like she did with her former husband. She even makes up fake Bible texts to try to convince Carrie that having a period and bleeding are sins, and that she is now a sinner. Carrie knows her mother is lying because Ms. Desjardins already told her everything she needed to know about menstruation. She tells him that it's normal and that all girls have it. Margaret hits her in the head with a Bible because of this. She puts her in a small praying closet and tells her she can only come out when she has asked God to forgive her. When Carrie gets mad, she yells, which makes the door shake. Then she looks at a statue of Jesus that is bleeding. Sue and her boyfriend, Tommy, are in his car somewhere else. Sue tells him that she feels bad that she didn't help Carrie in the shower room after she got dressed. At the same time, Chris is at her house with her boyfriend, Billy. She doesn't feel sorry at all, unlike Sue, even though she was the one who started the bullying. She puts the video of the event on the internet to make Carrie feel even worse. Back at home, Margaret is making clothes and singing songs in a calm way. It's almost like she doesn't remember what happened with her daughter earlier. She lets Carrie out of the closet in the end after making sure that she prayed to God. The next day at school, Chris, Sue, and all the other girls participating are gathered by Ms. Desjardins. As a punishment, they will have to do death runs for an hour every day for the rest of the week. Anyone who doesn't listen won't be allowed to go to the upcoming prom. Chris says that the punishment is a bunch of crap and dares Ms. Desjardins to stop her from going to prom. Ms. Desjardins is so angry that she suspends her and takes away her right to go to the prom. Chris tries to protest and get the other girls to join her, but no one, not even her best friend Sue, backs her up. In the meantime, everyone at Carrie's school has seen the video of her being picked on. They make fun of her and even write on her locker, "Carrie White eats shit." She feels ashamed and angry, so she goes to the bathroom and stares at the mirror, which breaks because of her. Carrie finally starts to understand that she has psychokinesis, which means she can move things and people with her mind alone. She goes to the library and reads several books about psychokinesis to find out more about her power. The story makes her think that having such power is normal for some people, just like having periods. In the next class, she is asked to stand up front and read a poem. When she's done, Sue's boyfriend Tommy whispers an insult, but when asked to say it out loud, he says Carrie's poem was great. Carrie is surprised and shy about the guy's praise. While this is going on, Chris calls her lawyer father to the school to try to get her prom invitation back. She plays the victim and says that Ms. Desjardins hurt her with her words. Ms. Desjardins asks for her phone, which has a video of her bullying Carrie, to show her that she is wrong. But Chris won't give it back, which shows that she is guilty. Carrie tries to exert her power at night by putting books and her bed in the air. Margaret hears a noise, so she takes a knife and goes upstairs to check it out. By then, Carrie is acting like she's sleeping, so she puts down the knife. The next day, Sue asks Tommy, who is also her boyfriend, to take Carrie to the prom. She thinks Carrie deserves to have one fun night, so she is willing to skip her senior prom for her. Tommy wants to go with Sue, but he agrees only after being told over and over again. Then he approaches Carrie and asks her to prom. Carrie is shocked, so she thinks he is playing a joke on her and runs away. Ms. Desjardins finds her in the change room later, crying. Carrie tells her about Tommy's request when she asks what's wrong. The teacher cares about Carrie, but she also knows that Tommy doesn't like her. She finds Sue and Tommy and tells them to change their minds if they want to make Carrie look bad. Tommy drives to Carrie's house after school, which scares her because she doesn't want her mom to know that she talks to boys. He says he won't leave unless she agrees to go to the prom with him. Carrie says yes, but only if he promises to take her home by 10:30 p.m. She can't wait to be just like the other kids. She goes shopping to find a dress for prom, but none of the ones she likes are in her price range. So she buys fabric so she can make one herself. Chris gets angry when he sees Carrie shopping. She and her friends are planning to trick her at prom. When Carrie gets home, she finds Margaret waiting for her, and she is angry. She tells her mother, Margaret, that she wants to go to prom, but Margaret tells her that she can't. Carrie gets angry and lifts things to get them out of her system. Margaret prays to God because she thinks her daughter has been taken over by the devil. Carrie tells her to stop talking, but Margaret prays even louder. In the end, she makes her mother float, which makes her stop talking. After a while, she lets her go and says that the talk is over. At the same time, Chris and Billy and their group of friends are at a farm. They cut the throat of a pig to get blood. Then they break into the gym, which is where the prom is taking place. They set up the pail with the pig blood so that when Carrie is on stage, they can dump it on her. On the night of the prom, Carrie gets ready and puts on a little bit of makeup. She is beautiful, but she is very nervous. Margaret tells her to dress more modestly, but Carrie doesn't argue. Margaret tells her daughter that everyone will laugh at her, which makes Carrie even more nervous than she already is. Before she leaves, she locks her mother in the prayer room. Tommy doesn't know what to say when he sees her. They go to the prom together, and Tommy tells his friends about her. Ms. Desjardins also tells her that she looks great and tells her to have fun. Over time, she relaxes and feels a lot better around Tommy. After a while, they danced slowly together. Carrie's night couldn't get any better. But then Billy and Chris broke into the place. They wait for the temporary stage to end so that they can carry out their plan. They have fixed the vote for prom king and queen so that Carrie and Tommy win. When the pair goes up to the stage to get their award, they will drop the bucket of blood on her. Before the election, Chris sends Sue a text message saying that they are going to make Carrie look bad. Sue runs to the prom to stop her because she's scared. Tommy and Carrie will soon be named prom king and queen. Everyone cheers for them as they are called to the stage. Sue also gets to the building and sees Chris in the rafters, just seconds away from throwing the blood on Carrie. Ms. Desjardins sees Sue and thinks she's here to ruin the moment, so she locks her in a room and doesn't hear what she has to say. At last, Chris pulls the rope, which causes the blood to fall on Carrie. She also breaks into the computer and plays the video from the day she got her period. When Ms. Desjardins steps forward to help her, everyone laughs. But Carrie is no longer able to think straight. Everyone gasps as she pushes Ms. Desjardins back without touching her. The pail lands on Tommy's head a few seconds later, killing him right away. Carrie loses control of her power, and with a single scream, she drives the crowd away. Chris and Billy make it to their car and get away. Carrie locks all the doors and windows when the others try to get out. Next, She throws the tables and chairs at the crowd, killing each person one by one. She also holds some girls down on the ground so that they can be crushed to death. When she breaks the stage lights and electric lines, the place starts to burn. She makes sure that Mez Desjardins is safe on stage and then takes care of the rest of the crowd. Then she flies outside to look for Chris and Billy. They get in their car and drive away, but they are followed. Billy tries to run her over with his car, but Carrie stops it with her magic. Billy hits his head and dies right away. Chris tries to run over her again, but Carrie drives the car into a gas station to stop him. Then she watches Chris slowly die while he is stuck to the window. After that, she goes home and sees that her mother isn't in the room where she prays. She takes a bath to get rid of all the blood. Margaret finally walks up to her, and Carrie hugs her mother and tells her that she was right about everyone laughing at her. Margaret thinks she is being punished for sinning with her husband, so she uses a butcher knife to stab Carrie. Margaret goes crazy and follows Carrie into the kitchen as she tries to save herself. She holds Carrie down and is about to stab her again when Carrie uses her power to stop her. She throws several dangerous things at Margaret, which ties her up on a cross. Then, as her mother is dying, she cries and feels bad about what she did. In the end, she uses her power to break down the house. Sue comes to the house at that moment and tries to stop Carrie. She is about to kill her too, but stops when she finds out that Sue is pregnant. Carrie gives a smile and says it's a girl. She sends Sue outside to get her out of the room before the roof falls. Soon after, Margaret and Carrie die when the house falls on them. A few months later, Sue is in pain while giving birth in a hospital bed. Then, all of a sudden, a bloody hand comes out of her. She wakes up and realizes it was all a dream. Her mother calms her down when she starts to hyperventilate because she thinks she is going to give birth to Carrie. Thanks for watching. Click this video to enjoy another best movie explained in less time.